an iPhone is a glorified calculator.
Okay, so this is the one of the 3 radios I got in a lot, and I video titled something about old, nasty, dirty, grimy radios. You know, diamonds in the rough. Well, it's been cleaned up. I still haven't done anything internally to it. That'll be at some later day. But before I ever put anything up on a shelf, I always clean them. I can't stand a dirty radio. I'll restore it electronically, you know, just replacing the electrolytic capacitors and the alignment at a later date. But I had to clean it up first, so it cleaned up really nice. So the faceplate was fine. I did remove all the knobs, dropped them in ultrasonic cleaner, polished up the bezel, tried a little bit of glass cleaner on the cover. Yeah, that didn't work too good. Got out the TRC, or Texas Refinery, their concentrated cleaner, sprayed a shot of that stuff on there, and all that brown gunk just melted away. And the top cover is absolutely mint. It's hard to see. I need to turn my little overhead light here on. But the cover itself is absolutely mint. There's not a nick, scratch, nothing in it. The bezel, like I say, it cleaned up really nice. So, you know, the old nasty looking radio is good looking again. Now, I've already had a bunch of people say, is it for sale? No, it's not for sale. I really don't sell anything anymore. Pack rat, collector, whatever you want to call me, especially stuff like this, radios that I really like, I'll hoard or stockpile them. I get all of them that I can get my hands on. And I had a couple other people emailed me, you know, off YouTube and asked, why do I like these so much? And I said that they're use the same chassis as a lot of other radios. What other radios is it? So in the Cobra line, this would be, because they were both released at the same time, the 138 XLR, which this is the mobile, and then the 139 XLR was the base station radio. So it's exactly the same, just one's a mobile, one's a base station, has an AC power supply in it. But other radios that use this that you might be familiar with are the old President Grants. The old President Grants used the chassis that's in this. The old President Washingtons, the old President Madisons had used this same chassis. So if you're familiar with any of the old models of those radios, they're exactly the same thing. Also the Robins, the 510 and 520Ds. I have several of the 520Ds. I just like the looks of those radios. I have both the different faceplates, the black and the wood grain radios. But they're really nice. I've got a couple of those, even with the Redco Digiscans on them. They were already on them when I got them. But exact same chassis. Also, the Realistics radios like the, the 440... God, I'd have to pull it up and look. 447 or 449, I think it is. And then the 457s and the 458s, I think it is, were the same chassis as what's in this. So, you know, that's why they're, and a lot of those other radios, people might be familiar, especially like the Presidents. Yeah, I don't know why the 138 XLRs aren't more popular, because like I say, they have the same board as the other ones. It's just lack of knowledge. People don't realize. Everybody sees Cobra and assumes Cobra made this radio. Like most manufacturers, very few companies made their own radios. They might have made the faceplate or the decal on here, but everything else, all the guts inside of this thing, it's all Uniden. You know, back in the day, excuse me, back in the day and for decades, you had two big companies. You had Cybernet and Uniden. Those were the two large manufacturers that made most of the radios. You know, the main circuit board, they pre-assembled. That's why they're all pretty much the same. There'd be a few differences, like this radio has a dimmer, has a tone control. You know, manufacturers might ask, you know, Uniden or Cybernet to add or remove features. That's why often when you look at a circuit board inside of a radio, you'll see lots of empty holes. There's components that just aren't there. Where if you look at another radio that uses the same board, it has those extra components. Good example, dimmers, tone controls, things like that. But like I say, just really nice radios. But I thought I'd show. Oh, there's one little speck of dirt on there. Now that it's clean, dirt shows up so easily on it. But there you go. I just wanted to show that. Like I say, a little bit of elbow grease, and I'm not going to say it's brand new, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, if anything got wear and damage to it, it's the bracket. The top of the bracket is all scratched up, and I'm assuming that's just from having something else. This was sitting on a shelf probably, and I'd have to assume it was in a barn. And I mean that literally, in a barn or a milk parlor or something like that. The smell, it just, I've worked on farms and I live in the country. Now, if you're a farmer, you'll never notice the smell because you live in it. And like I say, I've worked on farms when I was a kid, and I live in farm country. But if you're around barns a lot, that smell, stuff that stays in a barn for decades, just gets that kind of smell to it. Well, that's the dirt smell that was on this thing. It had that smell, and now that it's cleaned, it's pretty much gone. But like I say, just a little bit of elbow grease, man. A lot of times you can take an old, nasty, screwed up looking radio and make it look really nice. Now, the bezel on this, I had said about cleaning. I used a little bit of glass. Remember, if you saw that first video, I cleaned just a little at the top corner here. I said I'd use a little bit of glass cleaner, just kind of back and forth a couple times with a little bit of metal polish. Common misconception, I don't know how many people I've had to tell that over the years. They think this is like chrome paint or something like that. No, it's real chrome. Because I've actually seen these where it's peeling off, just like the chrome would off of, well, not that bumpers are made out of metal anymore, but back in the day when we had metal bumpers that were chromed, you'd occasionally see chrome flaking off. Same thing here, and the same thing with the knobs. It's actually real chrome, the real thing, the same thing you'd chrome plate anything else with. It's just a different process. They have to put the adhesion promoter onto the plastic before they begin the chrome process. But if you rub at this stuff long enough, you'll get down. There's actually a layer of copper underneath of it. And that's why a lot of times, like radios just like this, or what it was before you clean it, you'll see pits. So if you clean it with glass cleaner, that doesn't do anything for getting pits off and anything for polishing. That's just removing the dirt. You'll see little specks of green all over the place. That's because the chrome is pitted. And this is pitted very slightly. And there were little green spots. Well, those little green spots are actually the copper, which is the next layer down. Or actually the third layer, because you have copper, nickel, and then chrome. But the bottom layer of copper, that's actually what starts to turn green. And you'll often see little green spots all over something. A little bit of good metal polish will clean that off. And as long as you catch it early, the pits are so small, once you clean it, you really don't notice them. I mean, you can look at this one and see how nice it looks now. Look at the reflection on that thing. It's a mirror again. There's one little line right there, and that actually looks like a wear line. Something was just rubbing against it, maybe. But other than that, you can see that it's about as close to new as you can get. And it is pitted, but like I say, once you polish it, they're just almost microscopic little pin pricks. But once the chrome layer has been penetrated, moisture can get to that lower copper layer, and it will start to oxidize, and it's where you get the green fuzz or the green speckles. But yes, it is real chrome. So don't, whenever you want to clean these, just use metal polish. Take your choice. I use really good stuff, and if you want to buy a bottle of really good metal polish, honestly, probably the best place to get that is a truck stop, because truckers are anal about their chrome and their stainless steel and polishing, and probably the best chrome and your metal polishes you're going to find can be found at a truck stop. So, yep, get a little bit of cleaner. Like I say, some glass cleaner. Wouldn't take because it was some industrial goo on this cover. The glass cleaner, yeah, it just kind of bounced off. It didn't even affect it. I took my diluted bottle of TRC cleaner here and a couple shots of that, and that layer of goo finally gave up the ghost and let loose. And I have basically a brand new radio now, almost. So yep, I'll stick this on the shelf, and someday I'll recap it and do an alignment on it. So there you go. There's what an old nasty radio can look like with just a little bit of work.